The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapon.
You have to wake yourself up.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
Alright, this is the myth of the credible witness part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, go into my videos, into my channel, and look up the myth of the credible witness, where I go into how the idea of a credible witness is ludicrous in the first place, unless you're on LSD or methamphetamine at the time of an incident. Everyone is a credible witness. I also go into the illusions of audio and what can happen with audio and what you're hearing in a vicinity, whether it's real or not real, and how that can influence decisions and outcomes. I'm going to start with an audio clip here. And this first audio clip is from some incident that happened in Vegas around 2017 in October. And a woman is driving a cab and she starts recording. Well, this is just one section of the audio that I want to play you. I believe it's about 37 seconds long, but you have to hear the original to go further. So we're going to start with that. I'm just going to play it. Here we go.
A million cameras around the Vegas.
Yeah, we're just all sitting. We're just...
I got details on it. I'm at the airport. I just talked to the Metro Police over here at the airport.
So you just heard some CB chatter, and you heard the woman in the cab say something right here.
Yeah, we're just all sitting.
Yeah, we're just all sitting.
We're just
something. Well, where I'm working in the audio, this is kind of important, and I want to show you. Where I'm working in the audio turns this woman's voice into this, a female voice. This is what she just said, and this is where I'm working within this audio. Check it out. That's a female voice with it has a higher tone, higher pitch. So any voice that comes through on that recording is going to sound like this or more garbled. You have to understand that before I go forward. Now I want to show you what's in the audio. If you've watched my other videos, you understand that this rides on noise and it rides on other transmissions. It rides on everything. Two-way audio communication and other audio anomalies in this whole recording. I'm going to show it to you right now. So we pretty much have silence in the recording in these low frequencies until about right here. And then we hear a voice that sounds like it's rumbling. It's more of a rumble than it is a voice. But it's almost high-pitched. It's as though it's a high-pitched, low frequency. If you can wrap your head around that, I'm sure you can if you've been with this channel long enough. So what it says is, as long as they think it's coming from, and it could be up there or the hotel, I'm not positive, but that's what it says. Let's go to this one, where I slowed it down a little bit and then removed some of the low. As long as they think it's coming from blah blah. Let me loop it. Now let me play a different version of this. And there's a response to this as well. It's very hard to hear. You should put on headphones or play this through good speakers. Don't play it on your phone. The one part that's clear to me after hearing it 100 times or more is as long as they think it's coming from, and then the other part is debatable and changes a little bit with the frequency adjusts. The as long as I think it's coming from stays the same. That's the original going at that speed, the original speed before I slowed it down a little bit. So let's move on through this audio a little bit. That stuff should not be there. The woman's voice is nothing but a garble at this point. This. A woman's voice. Now there's some of these that begin as a possible transmission, and then, like I've explained before, a few hundredths of a second, a split second later, another signal will jump up and begin to ride on that transmission. Now, this was the woman's voice. Now, when she talks, you can hear another voice begin to transmit just after she starts talking. Listen. Right there. I'll loop it. But there's an important part to this audio that we're getting to right now. And you have to remember, they didn't know who was doing this. They didn't know anything at that point. Nothing. They had no idea. There was just an incident happening. Now, Mr. Paddock had said and told people that he was a quote-unquote government experiment. They knew where he was at all times. He told people they could hear him at all times. And he told people they could quote-unquote hack into his brain and take over. So we're going to get to this spot right here. Check this out. Okay, now for one, there should not be a distinguishable voice in this area. No way. I'm telling you, there should not be a voice at that pitch in this at all. Everything should be garbled, low frequencies. And there is a higher pitched voice speaking, and it's saying, he says there that he was telling people that he was an experiment. And he says it on this transmission. Check it out. Right there, that he was an experiment. I'm going to loop it. That he was an experiment. Then here, I'll loop the whole thing. There's also a low voice under that I haven't even gotten to yet. Now, here's a lower version of that. He was telling people that he was an experiment. I'm going to loop it. So there you go. He's talking about that he was an experiment, which is perfect. The guy tells people he's an experiment. Look what happens. Now here's a different version of the beginning, and it sounds like as long as they think it's coming from up there. And then there's a response afterwards. I'm going to loop that. As long as they think it's coming from up there. I'm going to loop it. This is an important important example of how quick something can get by somebody. And they won't even notice it or pay attention. And this happens in cell phone camera recordings. It happens in cell phone camera videos. It happens in normal audio recordings because this signal gets into everything. It is using everything. It is transferring through everything. And no one would even think about this when they heard it. They would just think it was noise and move on. So let's listen to this noise that caught my attention. Well, when I heard it, I was like, wait a minute. It sounded like noise, but there was a beat to it. And that's what gave it away, was the beat. So let's loop that right here. Right there. Right there. Her cell phone picked that up. Could she have heard it in the cab and thought nothing of it? Possibly. I don't know. But we're going to go to stage 2. There's 5 stages to this. Alright? Stage 2 of this noise sounds quite different. Let's play it. It's different, but it's still not there yet. Let's go to stage 3. Oh, starts to sound more like a voice. Starts to sound more like communication. So let's loop it. And then I found out on stage 4 that there was ultrasonic communication going on as well. So this is stage 4 boosted up, and what you're going to hear is you're going to hear this voice, but then you're also going to hear ultrasonic communication in the background. And I was like, what's that? It was completely and totally unhearable, silent in the recording originally. This is ultrasonic communication going on behind this communication. So here's the voice that just sounded like some noise. But if you listen above, you can hear this ultrasonic communication going on through the whole thing. I'll loop it. Now, somebody might go, oh, that's just a high frequency, because that's what these people do. You know, they'll get online and they'll talk their genius, their genius bullshit. And it's not. Here's the loop with the ultrasonic communication and that noise brought down to a hearable level. So that's ultrasonic communication that I accidentally found, and then here is your noise that was just a noise in the recording and its voices. And there's ultrasonic communication above it. So at this very point in time, in the cab driver's vicinity, there was ultrasonic and infrasonic communication going on all around her. And as you know, as I've described in older videos, this gets into everything. So her cell phone picked it up. And it's there. And it's undeniable. Now, here's another version of the ultrasonic communication where I pretty much started ignoring the original noise and just worked on bringing up the communication sound. Let's check that out. So that wasn't just a high-pitched noise, it was communication, and so was the noise that was originally in the recording. Here is a final version of that original noise. tweaked, so you can absolutely 100% tell that it is, in fact, a voice. And that came from this. See what those are? Those are pulses. Pulse, 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 rat-a-tat-tat, pulse, 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 pulse. That's what these are. Pulse communications. Which really turned out to be this. Pulse communication. But if you were using it as a two-way source like that, all you would need were two communication devices that were modulated or multi-modulated at the same modulations, and you would be able to pick this up. You could have the ELF modulated at a certain BPM and the high frequencies modulated at a certain BPM, and it would pick this up clearly. We're not supposed to be picking these up with microphones and stuff and figuring out what it says. That's not the intent of it. It operates completely different than what a lot of people say it does. And I'm showing you. I'm not just telling you that, I'm showing you. I'm going to show you a quick audio anomaly here. This one, you're going to hear the woman speak. It's been pitched up here. But you're going to hear this rat-a-tatting, and then you're going to hear it suddenly just kind of like die off, like a dying engine. Check this out. I'm going to loop. It's just odd. The entire thing is odd. Here's something even odder, if that's possible. I've told you that this rides on noise. It runs on auto gain. Here is the same thing, the same audio that's been altered to hear what's riding on it. Instead of rat-a-tat-tat, you're going to hear voices. Let's loop that part right there, just in case somebody's going, I don't know if that's voices or not. That is not the rat-a-tat-tat of Ice Cube's AK. That is a voice. But put the nail in any doubter's coffin. This was in the ELF range, so it couldn't have been a voice talking next to the rat-a-tat-tat of Ice Cube's AK. So it wasn't audible in the regular audio before it was altered, but it was following the rat-a-tat-tat. It is following the syllables and using it as a pulse, as a host pulse to ride on. And I love these types of recordings because they're shill and mole destroyers. They can't come here and talk shit. They just can't do it. So they hit other people's channels. So check this out. You're going to hear the noise of the CB in the woman's cab. And then you're going to hear her begin to talk, but then the rat-a-tat-tat comes in and she stops. Now this is an awesome recording to show what is going on. This is what you would originally hear. I just boosted it all up and kind of like leveled it out. So let's check it out. Do you hear that wind sound? It sounds like wind is hitting the mic of her phone, but she's in a cab. There's no wind. Watch the video. She's in Vegas, no wind, in a cab, but there's this low rumble. I've always talked about this. Check it out. Then she begins to talk, but Ice Cube's AK comes in. Kind of sounded like it was dying out at the end there. Well, let's check out version 2 of the sound and then Ice Cube's AK. Did that sound like voices over the gun again? Let's listen to version 3 and voices in the CB noises. Let's check this out. Oh, so that rumble that we were hearing, that wind sound that I've talked about so many times, that so many missing 411 people have talked about. Oh, they called me back, but it just sounded like wind in the mic. And while they were talking to me, it just sounded like wind in the mic. Let's check this out. It's a voice. When you hear that wind, that rumble, that is ELF communication. It is not wind. She was in a cab. Okay, check out this version. Now that's when a AK is going off. That sounds like AI. Now let's check out this version here. See, now it's seamless. It just keeps going. And it slows down and gets quieter as the noise in her vicinity goes away. And here is one more version. So that was your wind. Here's your wind in the mic and the CB sounds. And then here is your rat-a-tat-tat of the machine gun. That is clearly 100% communication. Let's loop this part right here. Let's loop this part right here. This is following the rat-a-tat-tat. Now, this clip is awesome because so many people were trying to say, they would say, well, that's just a rumbly echo. So you would have the gun going off, and in the first video I showed, after every set of Ice Cube's AK, you would get a set of thunderous rumble in the background. Let's say 2 to 4 or 5 seconds afterwards it would begin and then it would stop. And this would happen afterwards every single time. And this one, this is the original, just leveled out, boosted and then leveled out. You're going to hear the gun going off, and then you're going to hear Ice Cube's AK, and then you're going to hear the rumble in the background. I want to loop it for you. Now, it's easy. I get it. It's easy for an untrained ear that hasn't been around the block 5 times to understand, to think that this was just some reverberation, some echo of gunfire in the distance. But I assure you that it isn't, and I'm going to prove it to you. So there's your thunderous rumble in the background. So let's keep going through this because it's kind of important. And what's weird about this is she's sitting still, but this gunfire suddenly, out of nowhere, within a split second, sounds like it turns into helicopter blades. Check it out. See that? Let's see. It's almost 10 seconds long. Could you legitimately use an AK for 10 seconds and not melt that thing down? I don't know if you can. Can somebody that knows about consistent fire with an AK come here and tell us whether it would melt the barrel or not. 10 seconds straight. I'm going to play it. It consistently warps from sounding like Ice Cube's AK to sounding like a helicopter through the whole thing. But then right after it, you have the rumble. The rumble that I've talked about every time. Every time there's the set of fire, you get the rumble. So let's check out what's really here. This is awesome. So, Ice Cube's AK out in Vegas, and then you're going to hear what used to be the rumbling thunder in the background. Let's play it. Oh, so it's not rumbling thunder anymore. It's communication. Let's loop that. It sounds like they saw those witness or something. But it's very computerized. Or they saw those with him. It's very computerized. The inflection is weird. If you don't know this audio, go back through and check out some of my older videos. It will get into it and explain it to you. And don't listen to this on your phone. Use decent headphones, decent speakers with a woofer and a tweeter and all that good stuff. Don't use your crappy phone with the crappy tweeter thing as a speaker, because I assure you it's not a speaker. Or good headphones would work, because you can at least hear the low end and the high end. But it's computerized talk. So there's no more of those people saying, oh, that's just an echo in the distance. Now let's check out the other echo. The rumbling thunderstorm in the background of Ice Cube's AK. So you got these helicopter blade sounding shots that immediately go down in volume, even though she's right there. And then something special happens. Oh, that's not a rumbling thunderstorm anymore, is it? Oh, wow, we should loop it. You know what that is? That's called fucking mole eliminator. Mole eliminator. I boosted it up a little bit. Let's loop it. That's not quite the pitch that I wanted, but that's the pitch where it's clearly voices. Clearly. Here's a very short clip that proves quite a bit. Here's the original, just boosted up level. Okay, the reason why this is cool is because when you actually get into the clip, there's a whisper in the clip. Now, somebody is whispering. There's a whisper over the gunfire. I whisper over the gunfire. Now, in a whispery tone, a computerized whispery tone. I'm going to play it for you right now. Now, listen here. I'm going to loop it. It's not possible in our reality without technology involved. Parasitic technology that operates on auto gain. This is a parasitic signal in the sense that it gets into everything and it operates on auto gain. Here is the same clip with a little bit of a tweak to it so you can hear it a little easier. Are those the ghosts of Vegas? The demons of the cab? The haunted streets of Las Vegas, Nevada? No, it's not paranormal. And people are saying that. People are coming to my channel and they're saying things like, they'll say, it can't all be this. Some of it has to be paranormal. And listen, I used to be so into the paranormal, but it's not, because this is everywhere, operating all the time. I've heard one set of audio samples that were sent to me by somebody who wanted to know what it was. And I've gone over thousands. And I went through one for a guy, and they were not these signals. I said, I don't know what they are, but this is no technology that I've ever came across myself. It doesn't have the signatures. There are signatures to this audio. And that's what people don't realize. It's not just a voice. I can see this spectrally. I can go into this and look at it spectrally, and it has a signature to it. It pulses and it follows audio that is being created in the vicinity of the audio. A paranormal audio frequency would not have this. It wouldn't need it. This is totally different. This is technology. And only one I sent back to the guy who had paid me to go over this audio. And I said, I don't know what it is, dude, but it's not technology. And then I asked him, can I use this audio to make a video out of? And I said, I won't even use your name. And he didn't want it used, so I respected his wishes. I still have it, but I respected his wishes. So there's one out of thousands that I've gone through that isn't this technology that I know of. That's it. One. And one other that I found on my own that I wasn't sure what it was. The rest of them all have a signature to them. There's a signature to this. Here is one more clip of the rumble. This is the rumble that happens every time this weapon sound happens. Then you have this, and you're going to hear something that could be the woman whispering in the cab or not, but it could be something else. You can't say with that, so we'll call that part irrelevant. But let's listen to the rumble. Okay, let's listen to version 1 of the rumble. Just the rumble. Okay, it sounds like a voice, but not quite. Here is the final version of it, and you can clearly hear a voice within that rumble. So it's clearly communication. And what is the point of this and the myth of the credible witness? You cannot trust what you hear in the 21st century. If you are out in the middle of the woods and you hear rustling or a growl or some weird noise, you don't know whether that's really there or not. And these days, honest to God, I would go running for the noise, not away. And these days, depending on the noise, I would go running for that noise, not away. Because I would want to see if it shot further away in a different direction or what it was doing. Because there is so much BS out there. You cannot trust anything that you hear. And these are generally bad things that are being broadcast in the air. Gunshots, people whispering, animals, grunts, growls, things that scare people and cause them to react. It's impossible to trust everything you hear now. And that is a scary situation when you have police officers and military and other people that are armed and they're counting on their senses. You can't trust your senses. Is your peanut butter and jelly sandwich there? Absolutely. That's not what I'm talking about. Voices within that ghost fairy has to be looked at with a point of scientific reasoning. Immediately, all these people just go to paranormal because they've been trained by ghost shows normalizing it. Where before those paranormal shows everywhere, if you brought that up, people looked at you as though you were weird. It only took a few years of broadcasting on cable to get people to go, oh yeah, it's probably a ghost. And then when you say no, it's people testing sound weapons, they look at you like you're being irrational. It's fucking madness. It is madness. In fact, I'm almost convinced that the whole paranormal in pop culture was green-lighted to get people thinking like this because people are such puppet pansies. They are willing to hold a belief within their hearts forever if it's not popular and if they'll be looked at funny. Then as soon as they make it okay to talk about ghosts and demons, everything is blamed on ghosts and demons. And it's perfect. Aliens, ghosts, demons, all of it is perfect for this shit. All the shit I just showed you. You can't trust it. Everyone is credible, but you can't trust what you're seeing or hearing. And that's proof. And my whole channel is full of this proof. So check it out. Look out for Charlie.